Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Shirani. Today I'm going to show you how I make my Belizean stuffing. Okay, so for this recipe, you're going to need 10 slices of white bread. And what I like to do before I make this recipe, I like to go ahead and take out my bread at least an hour or two and just leave it out on the counter like this to dry out. To chop up the bread, I like to use my food processor, but I know not everyone has a food processor, so you can just do it by hand or you can use a knife to do it. Before I put the bread in the food processor, I like to tear it up a little bit and put it in there, and that's just to help it along. If you've been following me for a while, then you'll know that I like to take my Belizean recipes and make them easy. Or any of my recipes, I like to make them as easy as possible. So that's why I like using my food processor for this. To get started, I first pulse it and then I put it on low and let it go. Now, I don't want the bread to chop too fine. I still want to see pieces of the bread in there. Okay, this is how I like my breadcrumbs to look. I'm just going to repeat the process for this, and I like to do 5 slices of bread at a time. Okay, so this is exactly what I was looking for. Like I said, I don't like the bread to chop too fine. I'm going to use half of a green bell pepper, half of an onion, and 2 stalks of celery. So because I have my food processor out, I'm just going to chop these a little bit and then put them in there. And that just makes it easy. I mean, one less thing for me to do. I have to say, having this food processor is one of the best investments I've made besides my mixer. I mean, I use these things all the time and they help so much in the kitchen. But of course, if you don't have a food processor, you're going to have to dice everything by hand. Okay, so to a pan set over medium heat, I'm going to add 1 stick of butter. Then I'm going to add my onion, celery, and bell pepper mixture. And I'm going to let that cook for 5 minutes. Just be sure to stir it in between. I know this looks like a lot of butter right now, and it is, but don't worry about that. I still have to add the breadcrumbs to this. Now that the 5 minutes is up, I'm going to add 1 1/4 teaspoon of poultry seasoning, half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, or how we always just say Parent sauce. And you're going to mix everything together and let that cook an additional 2 minutes. Now that this is finished, I'm going to add half of the breadcrumbs in there and give that a stir. And by the way, at this point, I'm going to turn off the stove. Okay, I'm going to add the last of the breadcrumbs to it and then mix that one more time. Okay, so this right here is your stuffing or dressing depending on what you're doing with it. And if you don't know the difference between stuffing and dressing, well, if you take this mixture and stuff it in your turkey or your chicken, it's called a stuffing. That's why it says stuffing, because you're going to stuff it. And then dressing is if you take this mixture and bake it and have it on the side. I have to be honest, growing up I never really cared for stuffing. Something about this and that chicken or turkey and then you cook it and then eat it, I don't know. I think it was a texture thing that I didn't like, but I like to have it on the side, so this is going to be my dressing. Okay, so for the people that like stuffing, what you're going to do is let this cool down and then you're going to stuff your bird. So if you're into dressing like me, what you're going to do is take your baking pan and spray it with some cooking spray and then add the mixture to it. Bake this in a preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven for 25 minutes. Now this right here is exactly what I love. There are soft pieces in there and there are crispy or crunchy pieces in there from baking it, but there's a little mixture of both in there and that's what I like. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you give it a try. And I know a lot of people have been asking for this recipe, so this one is for you all. As always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for subscribing. I'll talk to you in my next one. Take care. Bye.